Good evening, Dolphin fans. It's not post-game show. It's not pre-game show. It's Fins Talk Overtime. It's been a while, but yours truly, Greg and Bret said, you want to, a couple weeks ago, we got to get going again. There's so much fun stuff to talk about Miami Dolphins. We're hoping we're going to make this consistent throughout the entire season because Bret has a more flexible schedule now, hopefully. It won't be sometimes, Bret. As you can see, guys, new overlay. We're going to get some new graphics going. We're doing some fun stuff on FTSN. But guys, welcome to Fins Talk Overtime. It's great to be back. Greg, Bret, how you both doing tonight?
I'm excited. We're back, and well, we might actually have some fun stuff to talk about for once.
Oh, there's so much
in the last 6 years.
It's so much to talk about it. And for Greg, how you been? How you doing? How's your summer? How's everything going?
Doing good. Trying not to melt here in Florida. It is hot down here.
I didn't complain when I was there for 3 weeks. I did never complain. I'll take it over Montreal humidity in Canada every day of the week and twice on Sunday.
But it's been good. It's been good. And you know what? It's going to be a fun season. I don't know how good they're going to be, but it's going to be a fun season.
Yeah. So let's kick it off because I know we haven't had a show in a really long time, and you guys can decide who wants to start. Like, as you guys have looked over how the season ended, and we really haven't had a show since then. It's been a while, and then everything that has transpired, and just give me your and then everything throughout the offseason, like just your initial reaction to the fact that there's been a fundamental structural change every which way. Bret, we can start with you because it's something that you've been clamoring for as long as I've known you.
Yeah.
I no more. I don't know how many more times I'm gonna come after you on text saying, "Remember that time we first met and you were praising Tua and I was bashing." Wait, that was the reverse. So everything that the Curly, Larry, and Mo are gone. Like when that first happened and how you looked at the team and then obviously the draft and things like that. Like how has been your mindset of the Miami Dolphins heading from the way the season ended to where everything was looking at post-draft? Like, how has it been for you in your mind? And, like, how does it feel? What's been the feel for you?
Honestly, it feels like a fresh start. So it feels like it's what we've needed for forever. It's exactly what they said they did in 2019, but they actually did it this time. You know, they didn't keep anybody from the old regime. They got rid of, like, the head scouts. Like, that they didn't just – we're going to get a new GM and all that. No, they got rid of people in the scouting department. And even just this week, Tom Garfinkel getting reassigned to just back to the marketing side of things where he belongs, which kind of tells me my suspicions have been right about him. It felt like he was making football decisions when Ross was not there. And it just seems like there was too many, the wrong people in these positions. And now it just seems like, I like the fact that it feels like Aikman stepped in, was like, here's everything you're doing wrong. I can help you find it. And he did. He found like the right people. So far, it seems pretty good. It seems like it's the right thing. It just feels like there's a rhyme and reason for everything. And to go from one thing I'm excited about, to go from like the cap hell we were in to next year alone, having 50 plus million in cap space, or 84 million in cap
right
space.
Now we're about 84 to 86, something like that at this moment.
That's third in the NFL, but we're first in the NFL in dead cap at 54 million, but somehow still have 84 million. And that's with signing Achane, signing Willis, signing Brooks and Brewer. So they still have plenty of cap space next year. And then the year after, they have like 200 plus million. So it seems like they're playing for the future. They're not getting crazy, like just trying to like be good this year, but they're also not trying this, we need to tank, we need to be awful just so we have a chance. Because the whole talk about like, Brian Flores was an idiot for beating the Patriots and them going 5-11 and missing out on Burrow. That's just such an awful way of building. Like, if that was your only chance at being great, that's your fault for not having a good structure and a good foundation in place. And you made yourself desperate to where, like, if that doesn't work out, you're screwed. So I like the fact that this team is just kind of like, we're not going to suck. We're going to bring in Malik Willis. Is he going to be an elite quarterback? Is he going to be a franchise quarterback? Probably not. But Is he going to be awful? No. They're just going to at least give him a chance to show what he can do, and then give the team a chance to develop and build around it. And I like what they've done, and it just feels like an actual fresh start for once.
Greg, how's it been for you since, like, if you think about since the moment the changes just completely, like, the whole foundation of the team and the structure has completely changed?
I like the fact that they've basically started anew. Basically everywhere from scouting to the GM to the head coach and everything else. All right. I like the fact that they took the cap hit this year and they didn't spread it over multiple years. I mean, next year, like Bret said, still sucks. We still have a lot of dead cap, but they took the majority of it this year. All right. Some of the signings that they made, the long-term extensions and things like that, I wasn't 100% sure about, but I guess I can live with. I like all of the players that they brought in on 1-year prove-it contracts.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say this might be the worst NFL roster I've seen in 10 years anywhere. I think it's that bad. And I would not shock me if this is a 2 or 3 win tops team. So,
Okay.
but that's not bad. And essentially the reason this year is going to be fun is because we're going to try to find players.
Yep.
All right. We know we're going to be bad. Troy Aikman has basically said they're going to be bad. Okay. I mean, it's there's nothing wrong with that at this point. Okay. Because they had to completely rip it apart. And that's what gives us hope. Right. So tear it all down and let's go try to find some players. And if they're really serious about building through the draft, okay, that's where you have to do it. And they just need to string 2 or 3 really good drafts back to back, and Miami can compete.
If we start off with what John Eric Sullivan and Jeff Halfley as a combo, if you take the Green Bay Packers as a mindset, it's not a bad place to start foundationally, because though that's a team that has never been about getting star players early in the draft. They've been fine. They've been about a team. You can go into more about it, Bret, but they've always been about. I'm not taking a quarterback in the first round. Most of their quarterbacks they've gotten are early in the first round. They take them late, or they wait to see what low hanging fruit is. But the whole mindset, the fact that they're lockstep, the fact that there's a consistency, a very projected message, like the fact that the head coach, and you all know how I felt about this head coach for 3.5 years, the for me, people say I've already won my Super Bowl, and it's on the season ended, and I was like, I won my Super Bowl. Like, you don't realize the level of depression I was in when they fired Grier, and wait, they haven't fired this guy yet? It's Tuesday, and they haven't fired Wednesday and Thursday. Honestly, I will always remember what I was doing on that day, on that Thursday. I will always remember. But the fact that there's a consistent message, it sounds like a football coach. We're going to get into the preseason game a little bit after, and I want to just talk about that. But I'm sure for you, Bret, and then Greg, like the message coming from the coach, the head coach, and the general manager is something I think a lot of it could be lip service, but everything they said they were going to do from their initial interview of who the players are. Bret, you were never high on Waddle. You never have been in terms of the way he catches. The fact that he pinpointed Paul, Brewer, Achane, and that group, and Brewer, Achane, Paul, and Brooks, like that. The fact that he said what he said, they kept their promises about what, like the whole message, bringing in a quarterback, because I'm sure we'll talk about the preseason game and what the backup quarterback position is right now. Like at least their message has been consistent that. Mm-hmm. They're going to give it their all, but I think you can't get an NFL player as much as we think. Oh, people are going to tank. You can't. No team, and Greg, you've coached. You can't force an athlete, no matter how much they want, to lose. Like there's a competitive spirit, and they're not going to give up. Yeah. So, what do you think, Bret? Just from the foundation that you've seen from this head coach and general manager, and the message, because you've been so hard on how poor the message was coming from the executive branch of the Dolphins for all these years. Like, what has impressed you most about the message they've been able to convey throughout the offseason for you?
Well, they're not playing games. They're not playing this like this. I'm going to not tell you my strategy and think I'm smarter than you. They're not going to give you all their secrets, but they're just flat out. They were honest with who it was, and people would say, "Well, they said that Waddle was a key build set." No, Wingate brought up Waddle in that interview, not the other way around. That was it. Like he didn't mention. He mentioned those four on his own. Waddle was introduced by Wingate into that.
You don't give credit to Josh Wingate. You mean Travis Winfield?
What did I say? Wingate? Sorry. Yeah.
Don't give a cheap pop to Josh Wingate, the Cowboy fan. By the way, just to let you know, guys, side note, Von Miller just signed with the Cowboys.
I'm sure he's happy about that. Yeah. Wingate, yeah.
He's a little old, but
text me. Let me
a
know.
little long in the teeth, eh? A little long in the teeth, Von Miller.
So, looking at it, like they're blunt, they're honest. They're not going to sit there and pretend to anything else. They're just going to be like, this is who we think is our guy. Like, this is who our guys are. This is what we're building towards, and this is what we want. We're not going to sit there and bullshit you guys. Like, we're not going to sit there and say one thing and do another. And that was the frustrating part with Grier. Oh, we're not going to blow money. We're not going to spend a lot of money. We spent a lot of money. They hire McDaniel. Oh, no longer are we going to say we're not, like we're going to point fingers when they did it with Flores. Like it's like everything you say you're not going to do, you end up doing anyway. And so it's refreshing to see that this is what we're going to do and this is what we do. So I do like that. And to me, I think that's been the most refreshing and part that I've been most impressed with is that they're blunt, they're honest. And honestly, the one thing that impressed me most about Halfley is on the Rich Eisen show, talking to him, like he flat out said, like Rich Eisen was saying, like, oh, they don't believe in you, this and that, like pretty much saying like, hey, like giving him like billboard material. And he's just kind of like, what are we going to do? What are we going to like? What's it going to do? You're going to be pissed off for 5 minutes and then you're back to, normal again. He goes, it's not going to do anything. He goes, I want to see our guys who have that drive intrinsically and go from there. And I was just like that, and I'm paraphrasing, but that answer from Halfley was something I really liked. It was like, I'm not looking for cheap pushes. I'm not looking for like cheap ways to inspire my team. I'm looking for guys who want to play football and who want to play hard and who want to win. And that to me, I was like, that I like. I love that answer. Like, it's not looking for cheap thrills. It's looking for long-term building. So I think they're both on the same page with that.
Greg, what are your thoughts on the message that you're hearing? Because a lot of it's lip service, but I think I've seen you think from multiple interviews that they've done and just their message and the way that things have been. You've seen the reaction in training camp and the way things are going. It's no more fun and games in Dolphins land. What are your thoughts so far on the message?
It's nice to see the GM and the head coach, saying the right things in the media. I'll say it that way, right? I mean, and this is old school meathead football stuff that they keep saying, all right? And after the guy who couldn't speak coherently, I'll say that, as our previous head coach, it's nice to hear coherent, short thoughts. Yeah. All right. So that kind of stuff is fine. But they really haven't done anything yet. Okay. Words are words. All right. Mm-hmm. Show me what you're going to do on the field. They keep saying, like, we're going to build through the draft and we're going to sign our own and stuff like that. They're going to have money the next 2 years. Are they going to stay to that? Are they going to jump into that free agent superstar pool, or are they going to build through the draft? All right. There are certain things that I just want to see. And that doesn't happen until you start actually playing games.
Yeah.
And seeing what the reaction is. But so far, it's all been good. It's a breath of fresh air, if nothing else. And again, I don't know how good they're going to be. I think they're going to be really bad, but that's okay. All right. We just need to find a handful of players because the vast majority of this roster is not going to be here in 3 years when they should be good. So let's just see who those handful of players are this year, and let's see what happens.
So going back to the draft, because obviously you guys are very into the draft as well. I know we've talked about on many Fins Talked Overtime shows, I know that priority should not have been offensive line. Offensive line you can get later in the draft and such. But when you guys had your initial reaction, like, did you guys lose? Would you guys jump the gun, or did you guys initially lose faith in what they were trying to accomplish when they took Proctor, or did you say, "I'm gonna let me see how the rest of the draft goes"? And as the draft moved on, and I'll go to you, Brett, first. Mm-hmm. As the draft moved on, you saw Chris Johnson, and then you saw Jacob Rodriguez, which I think for you, of all people, you'll have an appreciation for his wife, because I think the poor guy is going to be basically, his wife is going to be spoken about him more this season than him, like every time. And then you saw Caleb Douglas. You're going, who's Caleb Douglas? But we'll talk about Caleb Douglas. Then you saw how happy people were that they took a chance on Chris Bell. And then the draft continued to move on with Chris Merrick and that group. And But like overall, how did you initially react when you saw Proctor versus what his plan was, and then how the draft continued to fall out? How did you, because I don't think you've had the opportunity to really express yourself and also how it's moved on through training camp. And then Greg, how did you assess the general manager, who you've been wanting a change there and a mindset change there because he's been so poor to pick through the draft? How was your overall assessment initially, and then how it played out and how you've seen it throughout training camp?
For me, I was not a huge fan of the Proctor pick, just because we could have got an impact player in the first round, impact position in the first round. Never huge on drafting offensive line in the first round when you have premium positions available. But Proctor it's not that he's a bad player. That was never the reason why I was against it. In fact, most people didn't realize anything about Proctor. He's not just size; he's a good athlete for his size.
Man, so big, though.
Yeah, it wasn't even like he was a bad player. That wasn't the problem. I kind of wanted the Caleb Downs, but
yeah, you're not going to hear any of that talk, Greg, on this show, especially from Brett. You're not going to hear about this guy. You're not going to hear about this guy. None of us wanted him.
I wasn't all that huge on Bain. I mean, he's a good pass rusher, but I mean that I would have rather had a pass rusher than offensive tackle, well, left guard at this point. But overall, though, I mean, what they did was, this draft was not overly talented.
You were never high on this draft to begin with.
As a class, this draft was not crazy talented. So what they did was they identified their guys and went after them. So the Caleb Douglas, the people who that were saying, "Oh, he wasn't worth that pick," shut up. Like it's one of the drafts where I said this after basically outside of the second round, even after that, even before that, the players started meshing. Like the grades for the players were all about even for the rest of the draft. So if you took a guy that was a 5th round pick and you took him in the 3rd, but the guys that were taken after him were about the same damn grade anyway. So what they did, they identified their guys with tools that they felt that they could develop, and they went after them. And that's what they did with Caleb Douglas. Now he's starting in a bad wide receiver room, but the catch he made in the preseason is exactly why you get a guy with the long arms and a wide catch radius that actually uses wingspan. While I like a guy like Jalen Waddle, he's a lot like Mike Wallace, where the ball has to be on him. He's fast, but the ball has to be on him. He doesn't have a huge catch radius. That was limiting. That limits if he's not open, it's hard to throw him the ball for him to catch the ball. He's still going to be a good receiver, still a good football player. Right, but he's in the mold of like Kenny Stills, which is ironic because he's going to Denver, where Sean Payton had a guy like Kenny Stills and utilized, but that was not his top guy. Where Caleb Douglas can be a top guy, Chris Bell could be a top guy. So, and the draft, getting Rodriguez and Kyle Lewis, they got 2 linebackers that can cover, and I love Rodriguez. I love the fact that he finds the football, and he was an offensive guy. He's an offensive weapon. He's an athlete.
He was a quarterback.
Yeah, so he was an offensive guy. Like he played all over the offense, and then he moved the linebacker. So he understands what he's seeing on offense, and he sees it there. And he's a hard worker. He's driven. He plays hard. So I love what they got. Rodriguez is my favorite pick. Johnson, I think, can be a good corner. He has the tools to be a good corner, but we'll see how he develops. Again, I keep mentioning tools. Kaczmarek, he's going to run you over blocking you. Like he's a good blocker. He's better as a receiver than people realize. Like, the Ohio State wide receivers or Ohio State tight ends, people don't realize that they're actually good receivers.
Just for thirsty.
But
I love this store. I love Bass Pro.
The thing is with Ohio State tight ends, are better athletes than people realize. They just don't use them in that way, so you don't get to see them. But Kaczmarek is not going to be your elite receiver, though. He's going to be an extra offensive lineman for you. So as far as the draft goes, I thought they did a good job. I thought they did a good job of also doubling and tripling down in certain positions. Edge rusher. They even doubled down a linebacker, secondary, wide receiver. So like they did a good job of saying, we're going to get multiple position or multiple people at that position, and if somebody fails, whatever, like we'll maybe have another opportunity, so it's like it's a good way of doing business when you do that stuff.
Absolutely. And by the way, I'm not just a big fan of Bass Pro. I know we talked about it Thursday. Buc-ee's, oh my god, Buc-ee's is the best.
Buc-ee's is amazing.
Buc-ee's is literally oh my god, amazing. Brisket on the bar. On that brisket, those chicken fingers, that stuff in that store, I went bananas in that store. Oh my god, awesome. So Greg, have you been to a Buc-ee's, Greg?
Oh hell yes.
How much fun is Buc-ee's?
I've been to the monster ones in Texas. Are you kidding me?
Oh yeah, I went. I stayed down in outside of Dallas Fort Worth area, right by the racetrack. And right where my hotel was, there was a Buc-ee's, there was In-N-Out Burger, there was Whataburger, there was everything right there in the corner, like all the chains. And I was at Buc-ee's every morning, man. It's my God, I love that store.
That place is so much fun. So, Greg, what are your thoughts? And Bass Pro is just a lot of fun for the kids too. What were your thoughts overall? I'm sure for you had similar reactions because we've talked about premium positions and early in the draft, but then as it developed, getting a corner and then getting a linebacker in Rodriguez and then Douglas and then Bell and things like that. Like, how did you feel like overall your initial reaction to how it played out for you on the initial draft? Like, how did you feel like how it played out for you?
After the Proctor pick, the rest of the picks through round 5, I thought were really good. Okay. All right. Made sense. The Proctor pick didn't make any sense to me, but that's not when Caleb Downs was there. All right. Okay. Because in my mind going into that draft, and yes, Josh, you're correct. Whataburger is completely overrated.
In-N-Out's pretty good.
It is. In-N-Out's good.
In-N-Out's good. But in this draft, at the beginning of it, I thought there was only 5 or 6 potential really good elite players coming out in this rookie class, and I thought Downs was one of them. And you had a chance to get him at 11, and then you traded down. So I thought that was a big mistake, and it wouldn't surprise me if Caleb Downs is rookie of the year, defensive rookie of the year, and in the league for a very, very long time. And you know how I feel about where teams start, where you build from. You build from the wide receiver core and you build from the DBs. All right. And when you get a chance to draft those players at those positions, elite players like that, you got to take that chance. So anyway, but from Chris Johnson down through, like Kevin Coleman and things like that,
yeah,
I have no issue with any of the draft. We got to find a handful of players in here, all right? And they had in a relatively weak draft, they had a lot of opportunities, a lot of swings, okay? And that's what you need in a draft like this. So let's see if these players. I want them to play. I want these young guys to play. They did a good job in the undrafted free agent market as well.
I hope Rieger's going to be interesting. I like Mason Rieger a lot.
Yeah, there's going to be. There's some chances. There's chances for these young guys to step up, and that's what I want to see. We need to keep as many of these draft picks as possible playing, and I hope they're not going to put some veteran player 3 or 4 years who's kind of one of those 1-year signings and things like that above these guys. I want to see the rookies play. I want to see the first and second year players play, because those are the players that are going to make a difference in 3 years when Miami's competitive.
Okay. So obviously,
on that note, real quick, sorry, Evan. On that note, Greg, it was refreshing to see Caleb Douglas getting a start over like Tolbert. Like,
yeah, we're gonna get to that in the preseason.
Yeah,
game.
So like I do, like, I agree, 100% agree with Greg. And so far they're doing that, and I do like that.
Well, so I know we talked training camp is one thing, but I think the preseason game sort of ties into it. So your initial so when we look at the preseason game and how everything worked out, the first thing that caught my eye during the preseason week that took place was, once again, no BS from Jeff Hafley. He said, anyone gets into a fight, any shenanigans during the 1 day joint practice, you're going to have a consequence. Like that. That's impressive. Like the fact that you said that the starters were going to start, the starters started. So number one, the let's get it out of the way. I think nothing made us all smile more than our feed, and we're watching the game. I turn on the game, I'm watching the game, I go through the feed, and the first thing I see is not about the Dolphins, it's about how much the Falcons quarterback sucks. And that was a pleasure. Like, you would have, like, right away drops the football. I go, I'm telling you, $54 million to have that guy not on our team. Remember how many people were telling us last season, oh, let's keep him on the roster. You never know if you need a backup. Like, he's already there, and he's already being trolled by the Falcons after 3 snaps.
Well, and it's like, are they going to blame that center too? Because it was Brewer's fault before, and it was Eichenberg's
Connor
fault.
Williams before that.
It was all these centers' fault, and it was never to.
Yeah. So your initial thoughts. Okay, so let's just talk about our initial thoughts. Let's get it out of the way with. We'll talk about the offense, but just how the first offense went. So Malik Willis, $20 million per year, $45 million. Like, that contract for a quarterback in the NFL is not even like in the top 20. It's pretty. There's not, like you even said, like, there's not elite, but he has elite traits, right? Like when he came out of the draft and what he did at Liberty, and then what he did have to do what he do at Green Bay, like. What impressed you? And I'll let Greg go first. What impressed you most about seeing that first drive and how you got to see him get outside the pocket, no more stupid motions, quick to the snap, the arm strength, running and sliding, and like what impressed you most, or what have you liked about Malik Willis thus far? Throughout training camp, but especially during the first drive of the preseason, because that's all you need to see from him.
He's got an elite athletic skill set for a quarterback. All right, he's got a cannon of an arm. He's got a quick release. He's upper half mobility. I mean, he can do things. All right, he wouldn't be a top 5 pick or whatever it was in the draft if he didn't have those elite traits. All right. But there's more to the game than that. Yeah. All right. And it's preseason. You take it all with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
And you know, he looked adequate. Some of the camp reports have coming out saying he's getting better. And that's what you want. You might be able to find he might be Sam Darnold in a couple years. You know what I mean? Good enough to lead a team to a Super Bowl victory. But I'm not expecting a ton from him this year because I just don't know who his weapons are. Unless somebody steps up in that wide receiver core, it's going to get – I mean, there's just nobody there for him to throw the ball to right now. And, you know, I don't know if – what was it? I think ESPN had Miami's wide receivers as the 32 ranked best group in the league. They're not going to get much better than that. But that's okay. Let's see if we can find a player. And Malik Willis being able to be athletic at a quarterback position is something that we hadn't seen in a while, and I'm looking forward to it.
No, we haven't had anyone like that. I don't think.
No.
Never, ever. I don't think we've had anything like that. So, Brett, what was your initial thoughts of what you've seen from Malik? I know you followed him coming out of the draft and what he did in Green Bay and what he's done in that first game. Yes, but a lot of quarterbacks. Let's put it to you this way: on the day of the preseason game, I was excited like anything because we didn't know what we were going to see. right? It's all about, and yes, you're playing against a second team defense, but you still need to be able to make plays. It doesn't matter who you're playing on that day; you still need to play the game. So when you saw the things you did see from him versus what your expectations were, what were your initial thoughts, preseason or not?
Oh, I thought he looked pretty good. Looked like he was in command of the offense. He looked confident. He looked like he showed his athleticism. He showed the ability to, even though he was late on a few reads, like the out of bounds pass to Caleb Douglas, the ball was there. He was still able to get the ball to that point of the field with that arm strength. So overall, I mean, the what was it, 93-yard drive?
93-yard drive. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of that 93-yard drive was actually hurt by Jalen Wright, who we're going to talk about, but then also we'll also talk about the player who caused us to go back 10 yards, which you haven't been a fan of that player in a while, but we'll get to him after.
But the thing with Willis, I thought he looked good. I thought he looked like what you want to come in for a young team, and I think he's not afraid. I mean, he's been a backup quarterback for a while, so he's not afraid to play with whoever he has and make the best of what he has. And he's a hard worker. He's a good kid, so it's nice to see, and he's tough. He's also smart. Like, he got the first down and got down. Like, the pocket was collapsing. He saw it. The reads weren't favorable. The pocket was closing. He decided, I'm going to run, and gets the first down, gets down. Settle things down. Okay, we got the first down. Everybody huddle up, relax. Let's move on to the next play. And he was a big reason they got that touchdown drive. So I was happy with what I saw out of him. It reminds me a little bit of what Buffalo had with Tyrod Taylor. Like the just good, like, quality quarterback play. It's not elite, but it's good quarterback play. And I still think I like that they believe in him, that there could be potential with him. So I'm not saying that they'll be correct and he'll be an elite quarterback, but I like that they're willing to let him take his chances and figure it out.
Do you guys feel like this is something that hasn't been asked, but I thought it'd be quick to ask about this before we talk about the backup quarterbacks and the rest of the team. Is this team the way they're built? Is it better to have a Malik Willis, or is it better to have like a Ryan Fitzpatrick like we had in 2019? What's better for this type of team in your mind?
I think Malik Willis gives you a little bit more. I think Malik Willis gives you a little bit.
He was our leading rusher that year.
Yeah, and I like Brian.
How crazy is that? That to this day, that our leading rusher in 2019 was Ryan Fitzpatrick. That's how bad that team was.
I love Ryan Fitzpatrick, but there's some times when he makes plays like, but I don't think you're going to go wrong with either one, because both of them are going to be there. They're going to help the young guys. Like, Ryan Fitzpatrick did a great job of getting the ball to guys that were unknown guys.
Devontae Parker, he made him look like a star.
Yeah, he did.
No, the difference is Malik Willis hasn't hit his potential ceiling yet.
Yeah.
When Fitz was on the team, he was coming off of his ceiling. All right. He was an older player. So
what's better though, Greg? Is it better to have someone who hasn't hit his ceiling yet, or someone who's the veteran to try to guide the young players?
I would prefer to have a veteran presence right now.
Okay.
I think you need some stability. Now, that said, I'm not sure who that person would have been this offseason. So I'm okay with Willis getting the opportunity and seeing if he can improve. All right. Let's make no mistake. All right. He's not the top 25 quarterback in this league right now. He's just not. Okay. Can he get better? Can he get top 15, top 12? That's what we need to see this year. And we're going to give him 17 games to figure it out.
Better play 17 games. Because I'm about to get there. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, the only reason he wouldn't play 17 games is, one, if he's hurt, but two, if they go like 1-13 or something like that, he might get benched just to see who else they have.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So let's get there. So today they re-signed Mark Gronowski. I think I pronounce his name, one of it. But what did you? Okay, you guys. I watched that whole game, every snap, because I just wanted football to be back. But everyone who saw Quinn Ewers last season, oh my God, the heir apparent, the 7th round pick, all this. to see what we saw from him and Cam Miller. Like, I understand the receivers dropped a lot of balls, but to have an average pass rating of 2, like, what did you see, Bret, from those quarterbacks? I understand it's preseason, but you're playing like third stringers. And yes, you're not playing with superstar players, but thinking what you said before, Tutu Atwell, Jaden Tolbert, like, there were players out there that could that were there. Like the rookies, more like Malik Washington, who will be the security blanket because he's a 3rd-year guy, or you see Caleb Douglas, which the athleticism of that catch was. You see the athleticism of the wide receiver core and what they could potentially be. But, like, what did you see from that backup quarterback play? Like, what the heck was that nonsense? Like, it's like dink and dunk. Like, what? The guy could not hit. They couldn't hit anything.
I just saw guys who just did not look like they were ready to play. Guys who just just the game was too big for them at that moment. And Ewers flashed, like he's had playing time. He's flashed before. He's got, like, Ewers. I think the biggest thing with him is when he's always been talked about highly touted coming out of high school, and then gets to college, and then leaves Ohio State, goes to Texas, and he's never really found himself to become a starter, take the job. But there's arm strength, there's arm talent there, but he's just it's not all there. He's not developed. Like, I think there's still potential with him, but it just looked like he was lost out there. Like, he didn't trust his receivers. He just didn't trust what he was seeing whatsoever. And he looked lost. And Cam Miller, the same thing. Like, from what I got to see of those guys, they just didn't look like they just weren't there.
I thought it was a combination of 2 things, and Thirsty mentions it. All right. He looked injured. He didn't look right physically to me. And then it looked like he had no chemistry, no communication, no feel for what the wide receivers are going to be doing.
Who do you have last year? Was it Theo Weiss that was his good go-to last year? I think it was Theo Weiss that was his.
And then, Tutu Atwell was going outside, and he threw over the middle, so there's definitely miscommunication there. I don't know.
That interception was awful. That interception, he completely misread it.
I don't know if he misread it. I think he sailed the ball because that ball over traveled a lot.
I've been trying to make an excuse, Greg, and I want you just to add to it and then continue. But, like, is it because you've been a coach? What role did trying to play in a different offense? Because people have been talking about training camp with him, that adapting to a new offense versus this spot throwing anticipatory crap that we were going through with Tua, what effect of learning that offense and being ingrained and that's how you have to play versus the new way of the offense from Bobby Slowick and the way Malik Willis plays, like, how much does that play a role?
Oh, I think it definitely plays a role. Okay. I mean, one of the reasons why Willis looks more comfortable is because it's basically what he's been running the last couple of years, right? I mean, so it's not new to him. And you can make an argument that this is Ewers' 3rd or 4th offense in the last 3 or 4 years, right?
Yeah.
So it's just he didn't look comfortable and he didn't physically look right to me. Now, Cam Miller was just awful. I don't even know what that was. But I also think that there's going to be a very good possibility that the backup quarterback for Miami Dolphins is not on the roster right now.
Yeah.
Going into this.
Who's left? Unless they trade for someone, like, there's no one there. I went to look. Like, unless you go get Taysom Hill, like, there's nobody there.
I think they could make a play. I'll say it this way. There are teams out there with some depth at quarterback with some young players.
Yeah.
That if they're going to go practice squad or something like that, I think there's a possibility that they could poach them.
Could you see them cutting both? Because neither of them are their quarterbacks. The Cam Miller that was on the roster got signed before they were hired. That was a what's his name? Well, neither quarterback is a John Eric Sullivan guy. So
correct.
Both quarterbacks could be gone.
It would not surprise me after this camp if the quarterback room was Malik Willis and 2 other guys who aren't currently on the roster.
Yeah.
To start week 1. That would not surprise me whatsoever. I honestly don't think there's maybe a dozen guys on this roster who are safe. All right, at this point, if you keep screwing up, I mean, he benched Gordon. All right, because
we're going to get to that. Want me to get there? I'll get there right now because I want to talk about that because I think it's important from you from a coach. So, as you've all known, and my biggest qualm with McDaniel all those years was his inability to be a head coach.
Yeah.
And the fact that he was so in his own space. When Ollie Gordon did what he did, and they're still talking about it, how he said it was not to see a defensive head coach who's also the DC who was letting Sean Duggan call a lot of the plays, though. The fact that you saw a guy walk over on live television, and I don't think he was looking for the camera, to put his arm on his shoulders, and you could read lips, and you could see what he was doing with him. A young guy coaching him up. You've been there, Greg. Yeah. What was your initial reaction to see a head coach who has other things going on, be a head coach and go talk to that guy? If that was Mike McDaniel, the guy goes right to the bench and gets back on. What was your impression of the fact that someone got benched, got spoken to, told it wasn't acceptable? This is just preseason. What were your thoughts on that? And this was an opportunity for Ollie Gordon, because if you see the way Jalen Wright played, Jalen Wright did not have a great game. Jalen Wright fumbled, couldn't catch a kickoff. So Ollie Gordon's, I think, ahead of him in the depth chart, and he still benched him. So what were your initial thoughts of that whole perception when you saw it?
No, look, the NFL is a different animal. Don't get me wrong. These are professional athletes. These are grown men. Okay. But as a coach, that's what you want to do. You got to draw a line somewhere. Okay. And you got to tell the players that when you cross that line, there's going to be consequences. And I know it's preseason. I know Ollie Gordon is a second-year player, but still, or maybe third-year player. I don't know.
Second
year player.
Jalen Wright's a third-year player.
Wright's a third-year player. But, and I know he's a young player, and I know he's not one of your major stars or anything like that. But just the fact that you did that during a game, you did that while it was televised, and you did that in front of the rest of the team, sends a message.
It does.
It sends a message. And whether I agree with taking him out or not or whatever, he crossed the line, the coach set the line, and you got to discipline your player for it. So I'm all for it. And you think backup quarterback's an issue with Miami, backup running back's an issue too.
Major issue.
Issue.
So on that,
Achan cannot run the ball 45 times. I know he said it, but Achan, what were your thoughts on that, Greg? I will sideway all the same thing when you talk about Gordon. The one thing one of my best friends said to me, because I think you're seeing it now with DJ Moore got injured, and there's a few injuries going on with a few people. I think Marcus Mariota got injured in the first couple plays. What were your thoughts that you saw Achan running up the middle like he was? The guy's a stud. The guy's going to have a superstar year, all-pro year. But to play him 7 times that game, I think that with the way the depth is, he's your most important weapon on offense with Malik Willis. I wouldn't have played him as much as I did on that first drive. I would let him just do what he had to do, but he did. The fact that you're up, I don't think he necessarily had to play. You sat Brooks, you sat Sealer, you sat Grant, you sat all these guys. Did he necessarily have to play? What were your thoughts on that? So talk about the Gordon and the Hafley situation, then the use of Devon Achan on that first drive, because he was the reason they scored. But what are your thoughts on that?
No, I wouldn't have played him at all. I don't understand this. He is the most important player on your offense right now. You're going to expect him to carry the ball 250 to 300 times this year. Why get him hit in the preseason when he doesn't need to be? All right. And if you're going to give him the ball, give him 1 or 2 carries and get him out. Okay. That part didn't make any sense. And I was frustrated by that. I'll say it that way. I'm like, okay, Achan's going to come in. He's going to touch the ball a couple times. Then you're going to get him out. He had 7 carries. There is no reason for that in that game. What did Washington? Washington sat 26 players or something like that. You know what I mean? it's a 17-game season. You're going to beat the hell out of these guys for 17 weeks once the season starts. You don't need to put him there in that position to take hits. I just wouldn't have done it. That would, if there was a disappointment on Saturday, I didn't expect them to win. I didn't expect a whole lot of things. I saw some nice things, but if there was one coaching disappointment, it was that he shouldn't have been in that game.
He did get body slammed on one place. He was right. He did get body slammed. So, Greg, what do you think? Like, Brett, what do you think? Like the whole Garden thing, but then also the fact that they played. Yes, you and I joke around. I was trolling a little bit because he is a great player. Like I think he's developed into a very. This guy could be a top. This guy's a top 5 back in the league. The way he plays. So the way he affects an offense, the way he's able to his average yards, the way he's able to find space, I think he could be a top 2 wide receiver on this team this year. So what are your thoughts until Bell gets there? Because I think Bell's on the way. I think long term Bell's going to be an absolute stud. Mm-hmm. But what he did with the last game, what he did at Hard Rock last season with Louisville was that's an athlete. That's Mike Wallace. Mike Wallace couldn't walk in his footsteps. But what are your thoughts on the whole Gordon thing and then with Hafley and then the whole situation of playing Achane the way they did in that scene? Because I love Achane and all that, but when he got body slammed, I thought that Dahl was going to drive to Washington from Philadelphia and go after Hafley for that because her boy was getting body slammed.
Well, so let's start with the Gordon thing. It's I like the fact that I saw a video today of with his media availability saying that he thinks that for Jeff Hafley, he said that he thinks that if you're going to have standards, there has to be consequences. He's 100% right. You can't have a standard and not have a consequence. So pulling the player from starting, that is a consequence. And he's backing up. Hey, we're not just saying that we don't accept it. We're going to show you we don't accept it. But he also said that he had good dialogue with him at the game. He had good dialogue the next day and good conversations about everything. And that he hopes this is a learning lesson for him and for the team and for everybody. So that all in there, just good leadership. You're also setting the standard, you're not doubling down, or you're not being a hypocrite saying oh, we don't accept that unless it's from our star players. You're showing, hey, we're not going to tolerate it from anybody. Not going to tolerate. It's a selfish thing. Now, as far as the Achane playing, I'll kind of indifferent. It's I don't really think he should have played for the whole drive. And they didn't seem to ride him for that drive either, but I am glad they pulled him after that drive because if he stepped on the field again after that, I'm let's pull him. He doesn't need to be on the field anymore. But after the first drive, I was glad to see him out. I didn't think anything of it. When I went back to, I had to go. I didn't watch the game live. I went back to watch it, and I was happy to see the next drive he was out. But I wasn't too concerned with the first drive, but because I think they just wanted to get a little chemistry with the starters on offense, but
offensive line
and I think that was a big part of it. But definitely that was the maximum he should have played the first game. I don't think he should play much the second game at all. If anything, I think Achane should probably sit out the second game and just kind of give him fresh legs. There's no point. At this point, I think you need to get your other running backs reps because you had some running backs you brought in that should definitely get some reps. Jalen Wright looks okay. Ollie Gore looks okay. You're definitely going to need some competition, and you're going to need all the reps that you can get from your running backs outside of Achane. So my hope is that Achane sits the next game, and then he put a bunch of other guys in.
Yeah, because I think like you just said, Greg, they have a short yardage problem still. I don't think they have a solution there yet. They try to use Gordon, but they used Achane on a 3rd and 1, or a second one. That's not a solution. So I think at the running back position, 100%. From the wide receiver quickly perspective, the athleticism guys of Caleb Douglas. He made a mistake, stepped out of bounds, and then that athleticism, to get up there and get that ball in a preseason game, that to have that kind of player, we haven't had a player like that who goes up to get the ball like that in a very long time. So the athleticism of the wide receiver core, the fact that he was put on the field with Malik Washington, you could already tell that Jalen Tolbert, Tutu Atwell probably may not make this team. Like Taj Washington, I think is done. Like, yes, there's a lot of I think like you said, the young talent has to be able to play. They have to get their reps. So, what are your thoughts on that?
No, they have to get the reps. I mean, Caleb Douglas should be a starter, in my opinion. He's a third-round pick. You got to see what he's got. All right. I want to see.
I think we just lost Greg for a minute.
Who?
Greg, you there? There you are. Go ahead. You're there. You're there. Go ahead. Continue. Yeah, we can go ahead. Continue.
Okay. I was going to say Caleb Douglas needs to play. I want to see more separation from him with the TVs, right? Contested catches are great, okay, but you don't want to have to make them all the time because you want to be away from a defender, okay?
Yeah.
You want so I want to see him create more separation, but you got to give him a shot. That's why you took him in the third round, okay?
Right.
I mean, and there's nobody in this wide receiver core that basically should be playing above him right now. All right. This is a very weak wide receiver room. Okay. So let's see what we got. And let's see if he gets 50, 60 catches. And if he stays healthy, he might do that. All right. And one of the things I want to say is that I don't know how good this offense is going to be. All right. But there's still going to be stats.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And just because players accumulate stats doesn't necessarily mean that they're good or you want to keep them going moving forward. All right. But there's going to be stats on this team. There's going to be guys who are making plays. Let's see how many plays they make. And then let's make a judgment with them at the end of the season. That's what I want to see.
Okay. On the offensive line, I'm not going to spend too much time on it because I think everyone worries about the offensive line more than we do. Just to steal a line. Because I honestly think, right and quickly, the weakest link on this offensive line, the way it's structured, like they're going to develop a Proctor, and if he was a late first round pick, I think he'd be great. Like him and Paul are going to be very good together, developing. Brewer opens up space. I feel like Jonas Savaianaya, like watching him throughout camp and watching the tape and watching him in the game, it was almost like he was driving. He was an American trying to drive in London and with an American car. Like the way his feet placement was, he's better on the right side. It's only a matter of whether or not Austin Jackson can stay healthy. Because if you have a Charlie Hecht or something like that, Andrew Meyer did not look great. The depth on the offensive line is not great. But you want to know what? The depth on most offensive lines, like you like to say, Brett and Greg, is not good in most teams. Like most teams survive with a very piss poor, mediocre offensive line. Like this offensive line has good enough starters that things are going to get cut. You're going to develop. Like we heard today that Jamari Slayer's on IR. Yeah, great. But yeah, am I concerned about the offensive line depth? Sure. But I think we should be concerned about the depth on this team. The thing is that this team is all about young players and giving chances. So I don't know about you guys. I'm sure you agree with me. Like the offensive line is not going to be a problem this year because if you saw on the first drive, yes, they're going against second-year starters. The way that we run, there's not going to be an issue because Achan is going to be able to make plays whether the offensive line gives him space or not.
Well, Savadi is playing in the correct position.
Yes.
And
no more square peg round holes.
Yeah, Proctor will be just fine at left guard or right tackle, whichever one he's going to end up playing. I don't know what's going to happen if Jackson gets hurt or when he gets hurt.
When he gets hurt.
Jackson's always hurt. But, they looked fine. Patrick Paul looks just fine at left tackle. The offensive line looked good. I have no problems with it. No. And it's the offensive line got blamed for a lot of stuff that wasn't their fault last year and the last couple of years.
It was the quarterback's fault.
And running back, like everybody wants to blame the offensive line. It's like then you watch it and you're like, well, offensive line did his job. How long do you want them to hold off before the running back finally?
How hard it is to hold off these guys?
Yeah, like how long do you want him to hold on to his block before the running back finally says, "Oh, now I'm going to get downhill," before the quarterback says, "Oh, I need to slide." Like so, in all honesty, like the offensive line, like I think it'd be fine. And I like the fact that they didn't quit on Savania. Like Savania's tape in college was okay. It was my biggest issue with him was his pass protection. Like his feet were awful, but looks like he worked on it a little bit, got a little better. But it's ultimately it's got to be a unit and play together. And you need 3 solid offensive linemen and then 2, just I would say 3 good offensive linemen and 2 solid offensive line for the offensive line to be good. And I think they'll be fine. I don't think that's going to be a problem. And then Kasmeric playing tight end, different tight ends that we're going to have on there, I think that we'll be fine in that.
You liked him at Ohio State? Did you like him?
Yeah, he's a good blocker.
You liked him as a pick? You liked him at that pick? When
I
did. That guy was?
Well,
you're probably one of the few people who knew who he was.
Yeah. But like, I liked the pick because it told me what it was finally a pick at tight end that we definitely needed to improve on was the blocking, because we were abysmal at blocking on the offense at front of the tight end position. And that's what got me, like, all the people that love Durham Smythe. I'm like, dude, just because he's not a good receiver doesn't make him an automatically good blocker, because he wasn't even a good blocker. He was just kind of there.
I forget what team he's on now, but he's tight end number 1 now on the team that he's on, Durham Smythe.
I forgot where he went.
I forget where
New England, right?
Yeah, New England. Not New England.
No, not New England.
Indianapolis?
I can't remember now.
Can't remember now.
He's not that great.
It's not Indianapolis.
Oh, no, I can't remember. Yeah. But like, speaking of just quickly the defense, because I know we want to just do a bit of a shorter show, Greg. I know you got to go soon because you have an early morning. But overall in the defense, I was very impressed by Jacob Rodriguez. Like, he's as advertised. I personally think, Brett, Greg, tell me if you disagree. I think he's going to take Terrell Dotson's days are numbered. Like, he took a penalty on the first offensive play, like the first special teams play of the game. The guy had to hold right away. Like, I don't think I think there's a better athlete there in Jacob Rodriguez than there is to Terrell Dotson. And I think you've actually been one of the people that's been critical of Terrell Dotson since he joined the Dolphins. Like, he's a decent player, but he's not a starter.
Yeah, he's a backup linebacker. Yeah. He's a solid backup linebacker. He's a guy. It's like, let's say your starter is going to miss a game or 2. Oh, we'll be fine with Dotson for a couple of games. I'm cool with, but he's not a long-term starter. And I feel like people they loved him because he made an interception when he filled in, and he filled in decently in 24, right? But then people are like, oh, he's going to, when he started at 25, like, oh, he's a great player. I'm like, listen, he's a backup linebacker. He's a stout backup linebacker. And that's okay. That's not a knock on him. That's just what he is. I think Rodriguez is going to take his spot, which it looks like he already has. And Brooks is going to be – him and Brooks are going to be like your starting 2 linebackers. And then it looks like Dotson and Kyle Lewis will probably mix in, and some reps for Willie Gay, Trey Moore and all.
Willie Gay, by the way, that hustle. That guy is not giving up. That guy was hustling. Yep. Like, that's not easy, Greg. Like, to chase that running back down, I don't care if it's preseason or not, he was lockstep with him. Like, to get across the field as quickly as Willie Gay did, that's impressive for a guy. He's fighting for a job, and he's showing the young guys, like, I'm going to take your – like, he's a veteran who wants a job.
Well, he's a versatile linebacker. He's an edge rusher and linebacker.
So, Greg, what are your thoughts on how the front line, middle line, the linebackers in the front line did in the game? Because I want to get to the premium positions, because everyone on Friday night was going a little crazy, and I was telling everybody to chill about the secondary. But we'll talk about that in a minute. But what were your overall thoughts on the front line and the defense, Jordan Phillips, that group, like, overall?
I think the front 6 on the defense are going to be just fine. I'm still a little worried about where the pass rush is going to come from. But as far as stopping the run and things like that, I think they'll be just fine. Okay. I have no idea what that secondary is going to do. And
were you concerned? Were you embarrassed by the secondary? Because that wasn't everybody. Juju Brents wasn't there. Chris Johnson was playing out of position. Storm Duck wasn't there. Do you think they're going to? You talked about before about going to get a veteran. Do you see that that's the one area where the biggest opportunity for a veteran, similar to what Rasul Douglas did, whether it's a Javius White, whether it's a Marshawn Lattimore, whether it's somebody who's still out there that might be willing to get a prove-it contract similar to Rasul Douglas to come in and fill that hole because they need that depth there? Same thing with safety. Like, what are your thoughts on what you saw from the secondary there? Because Dante Trader didn't play, Juju Brents didn't play, Storm Duck's injured, he didn't play. Like, what were your overall thoughts and what are your concerns?
Well, they weren't the worst secondary in the league last year. Okay. They allowed the highest quarterback rating of any secondary last year. All right. So there's only room to move up. Okay. But I don't see them. They made some picks. they got younger guys. Let's see them play. I don't think I'd want to get kids play. Let's see what they and let's kind of just go from there. But I do not have high hopes for the secondary this
But
year.
how do they
I
patch
really,
it? Like, what is there a way? How do
I
you
don't think
do it,
there
Brett
is.
and Greg? Like, is Jeff Halfley a defensive mind? Is there a way to fix this on the fly in the sense that go get a veteran, the way he calls his defense more the zone, or are we going to get toasted most games? Like this is good. Like in order to win football games, we're going to have to win football. Like, is it going to be in the sense that we're not going to be sleeping in these football games? Meaning that when you, myself, and Greg are watching these games, are we going and we're texting each other nonstop, but we're going to be texting in a fun way because we're watching development. Like I think for all of us, the analytical mind of all three of us is going to be on like absolute like craziness, because at least here we're seeing people what they can and cannot do, unlike people giving up and the stupidity of how the offense is running and all that in the defense. But are these going to have to be high scoring games for the Dolphins to win, or is there a way to curb this? Or do they have to go get the veterans, or the veterans won't even help? It's just, what do we do with the defense? Because people are really concerned about that secondary, that they're the reason why we won't be able to win football games.
Oh, I fully expect them to be a reason why we don't win football games. And I fully expect that our defensive run game numbers are going to look really good because teams are going to be able to throw on them at will. All right. And I the biggest growth for being on defense this year is going to be how well that secondary plays. All right. And because I think this is going to inform the secondary is going to, well, the two positions, wide receiver and secondary, are going to inform how they're going to spend their money next year. Because if they can find one or two players in this current crop that they think they can keep, maybe 3, maybe 4, but they still, there's not a lot there on paper right now. There's just not a lot there. And I would think that the opposing quarterbacks on this schedule are just licking their chops to light up Miami.
Now, I'll say this though, Halfley was the defensive backs coach in San Francisco in 16, 17, and 18.
That's where it comes from.
Yeah, well, he was with Cleveland as their defensive backs coach. That was like his first job in the Shanahan's, and he also coached Revis in Pittsburgh. He coached Revis in the Tampa Bay too.
Yeah,
and Rondé Barber. But to the San Francisco thing, he had Richard Sherman there, and he had a bunch of backups. That was really, but they had a lot of injuries in that secondary in San Fran. They had a lot of no-name guys. They had a lot of guys that you never heard of that actually played very well. Now, Halfley's the head coach. He's not going to be hands-on in the secondary only. I'm curious to see how he handles the secondary because, of all people on this coaching staff, he knows the secondary is the best. Like, he knows that, and he probably knows that secondary is not very good. So I'm curious to see how he handles it, how that goes, because his time in San Francisco, there was a lot of guys that were not well-known guys that are not very good, but they played very well there. They did their jobs, and they had like constant change. They were like signing guys off the street to play that year because they had so many injuries, and that secondary overperformed for what they had. So I'm just curious to see how he handles the youth and the guys on this roster. Now, one guy I'm really intrigued by is Jason Marshall, and I liked what I saw of him last year, him and Juju Brents. But Jason Marshall, I think, has a ton of potential, and I think he fits really well, and I'm really curious to see how he develops in the year 2. Storm Duck, I'm not that high on. I think he's an okay player. Chris Johnson, I'm intrigued by what he can become.
In the nickel, though. He has to be in the nickel. He's not a boundary guy.
I think he can be a boundary guy.
This year?
Yeah, I think he can. I think where
They're trying him in the nickel. Like he's really.
Yeah, I wanted to see him on the outside at some point, but I really want to see the safety position is what part that's going to bother me. I love Dante Trader because he's from Delaware and he's a good kid. He's a good
looked good in
football
camp.
player, but I want to see what he could be as a starting safety. I want to see him make those strides, but I'm concerned for the safety position.
Because Anderson was a Green Bay guy, right? So like Anderson is going to be there. I think he shored up that. I think the safety position is pretty much shored up with Anderson and Trader.
It could be, but I'm not 100% sold. But the corners, I don't know. We're at the see.
I have a feeling they're going to go get a veteran just because I think that's what's always out there, right? You ever notice that? Like the cornerback veteran market is always there. Like you can always go get a veteran corner to go play football for you.
Well, I mean, Brents would be their veteran, but he
can't stay healthy. The man's like Jack can't stay healthy.
He has an injury history
out of college because you remember Greg probably from Indianapolis. The guy is a good player. He just can't stay healthy.
No, yeah, absolutely. And I got a feeling, I said this about the quarterbacks. I got a feeling the secondary, once cut downs start happening, I got a feeling they're going to be bringing in a lot of people, a lot of cornerbacks, a lot of safeties onto this roster.
Yeah, I can see that. Like, I don't see this being a team that people are poaching practice squad players off of. I think we're going to be doing the reverse.
No. There is going to be a constant churn on this roster. A constant churn.
I think it might be similar to what we had, but in a different way, in a more positive way, because from development, similar to what we had in 2019, where a guy could get signed on Tuesday, and play be on the roster on Sunday. Like, I think that could very easily happen, especially on the offensive line and for backups, because you don't know what you're going to get with Austin Jackson, and if you have to flip over. Let's say you decide that you're going to put Proctor at right tackle. What are you going to do at left guard? It's going to be easier to find a left guard than a right tackle on the practice squad. Running anywhere, secondary, wide receiver. Like, I think wide receiver. Like, I personally think, Greg, that outside of Caleb Douglas, Chris Bell, and Malik Washington, there's no other guarantees for wide receivers on this roster. There's no guarantee. Tolbert, you're probably your 4.
No, you're absolutely correct.
Yeah, Tolbert, you're 4. Atwell may not make this team. Josh Washington, I think's time is done in Miami. And Atwell got third and fourth quarter plays. He didn't even see the first half.
And then you got Coleman that they drafted too, which I commented on your guys' show the other day, and I said that Coleman is going to be in competition with guys like Tolbert and Atwell. Yeah. So and for as far as your kick return duties and punt return duties, Coleman's going to get pushed there. So is Atwell. So
no Jalen Wright.
Right. Well, I mean, talk about the safety position. You got Lonnie Johnson they signed, yet Zane Anderson is kind of taking reps from him. And then don't forget about the undrafted free agent Lewis Moore, then Michael Taft that they drafted. So
that kid tries hard.
There's a lot of guys that they have that are just going to compete. And no position at all is safe. And like Donovan Edwards, he could push Ollie Gordon and Jalen Wright for a spot too. So there's competition. Nobody is safe at all.
Yeah. So overall, when you watch what you're seeing right now, what's your feel right now after you've seen training camp and you've seen the first game, which not about winning or losing? Do you like the direction the team is taking? Like you said, Greg and Bret, because obviously we're going to call it in a few minutes just because we have lots to talk about. And we're probably going to do another show. Maybe we'll do another show next Sunday, or we could do a little bit of a follow-up on what happened with the Giants game. But until the season starts, we could do Sunday nights. What are your overall thoughts? Because you said before, Greg, talk is cheap and you don't see, but then you got to see the reaction of Jeff Hafley on the sideline. You got to see the engagement of the players. You got to see the involvement. You got to see how they came out on the field. Were you satisfied with what you saw, or was everything as expected? What impressed you most overall? What disappointed you most overall, based on your expectations heading into the first game? after the first game in training camp and such.
I don't know if I was impressed or depressed or anything like that.
But anything did anything upset you?
The only thing that really upset me is I had no idea why he kept Etienne in for 7 carries. That was the only thing that really stood out to me. Look, this is an old school, like I said, meathead type football type system right now. All right, and
got the haircut for it. The guy's got the haircut for it.
This team is not very talented. Okay.
They're going to try.
So how do we gauge how well the coaches are doing? All right. One is there effort by the players? Now they're professional players. There should be effort. All right. But 2, do they not make stupid mistakes? All right. Do they control the penalties? Do they line up correctly? Do they do the little things correctly? All right. Are special teams a strength? Okay. All right. Those are things that a well-coached team with not a whole lot of talent, that you can kind of see that there's progress being made and that this is a well-coached team. All right. Hopefully we see that. If this team is all over the place and they do dumb things and make dumb penalties and very little discipline and things like that, with this amount of talent, this is the Greg Camarillo, let's hope to God they get 1 win type season. That's how bad this. That's how bad
I think that this team is gonna just have fun, and I think that honestly, I think that like you always sometimes say, Brett, and you can go. If your star players play well, they can change the course of a game. Like a running back in a game, if it's a bad weather game or whether you have physicality, I think the pressure is on, whether he's not starting Mendoza, but the pressure is on the Raiders. The fact that they're going on the road in the first 3 games, I think takes a lot of the pressure off the Dolphins at the beginning. But Brett, what are your overall thoughts? What were you are you satisfied? Are you disappointed? What made you smile? What are your overall thoughts from what you saw? Yes, he's not there. I understand you're already smiling because the GM is not there. But what have you seen thus far?
Let's honestly, I like the fact that they cleared the cap. They made cap room and they gave themselves cap space for next year. And I like the fact that they started a lot of the young guys. I like the fact that a veteran, Tutu Atwell, Jalen Tolbert, didn't start over the young guys. They started who they thought were the best players. And I like the fact that they're getting the young guys a lot of reps. I was happy to see Rodriguez getting reps over the other linebackers. I was happy to see the young guys getting a ton of reps. And late in the game, it wasn't just because you're getting reps with the starters, you're out. No, I like that they got young guys playing and staying in. And then they had guys like Willie Gay playing in the game later, kind of finding a spot or a roster spot for him and giving guys a chance to compete. And I like the fact that they're all about competing. If you look at this roster, go on the Dolphins roster and look at the positions we discussed: safety, corner, quarterback, wide receiver. There is competition. There are bodies.
There's lots. There's tons.
Yeah. There's not a guy that you're
10 corners at camp. I think there's 10 corners at
camp. So you're not looking at it this is who we're stuck with. You're looking at it they're not afraid to say your job is not just because you were a starter last year, and just because you came into this offseason as a starter does not mean you're going to start this year. And they're pushing the competition, and and a lot of them are key positions they're pushing competition on. Quarterback, especially the backup quarterback mainly, running back, which we do need backup running back, corner, safety. These are positions.
Wide receiver,
linebacker.
You see how many wide receivers they put in the game? It wasn't until AJ Henning caught a ball. It was almost 4 or 5 consecutive wide receivers they put out there could not catch a football.
But you know what?
We didn't see a reception from a wide receiver, I think, for 40 minutes. It was
but AJ Henning, look at that though. AJ Henning makes a catch. You guys are struggling. So it's just a competition.
Junior, you might be done.
Right. It's just competition, and I like to see it. And honestly, there's nothing that I don't want to say I'm not disappointed. There's nothing really going to disappoint because I don't have expectations for this year because we know what we're getting into this year. Right? It's just like 19. It's just like that rebuild year. We know what's going to happen. We knew they had to eat a lot of contract this year. So we knew this year was not going to be great and that they had a lot of draft picks that they used the draft picks on, brought in a lot of bodies for undrafted free agents. So the expectations aren't high. My only expectation is, like Greg said, are these guys making stupid penalties? Are they playing disciplined? And are they playing hard? And are they playing like they want to be here next year? And are they playing like they want to be here for the long term? And I'll say the one thing I think maybe my biggest surprise is how much I've grown to really like Jeff Hafley.
Yeah,
I liked him when we
very
hired him.
impressed.
Yeah, when we hired him, like, okay, he says all the right things. But the more I'm seeing and the more they're doing, the more I'm like, okay, I'm starting to buy into Jeff Hafley because I was thinking maybe he's just the guy that's not going to be here long term, but I don't know. I mean, I'm liking what I'm hearing from him, and so far what I see, but that's it's a long road to go yet. We still got the regular season to go. So, but overall, right now, I guess he's putting the foundation in place, but how strong is the foundation? We're going to find out. So.
Yeah, for me, I think, and Greg, you're about to say something about it. For me, I guess, like you just said before, the 32nd rank defense last year in terms of points, and funny enough, how Anthony Weaver got a job in Baltimore, but that's interesting.
That's because they
I
know.
guess their standard is not, but I know he's going home. But for me, when the standard is Mike McDaniel at head coach, the only way you could go is up. You can't really. You're already starting in the basement, Jeff Hafley. You're already ahead of the game. But what were you going to say, Greg? Because I saw you smirk a little bit when he said he's impressed with Jeff Hafley.
No, I mean,
go ahead.
there's no expectations, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
that's fine.
And basically, no matter what he does, no matter what he does right now, it's not going to go bad for him. All right.
Oh, yeah.
But because there is no expectations. I mean, Miami's going to be one of the top two or the worst 2 or 3 teams in the league. All right. And everybody's saying that. And anything above that is just going to be, better. All right. But he's talking like a football coach, which is refreshing. Okay.
Yeah, we haven't had that in a while. Neither.
Well, correct. No, yeah.
Name me the last football coach who spoke like a football coach. Sperano, Philbin didn't. Gase didn't. Flores didn't because Sperano was the last time you heard a football coach.
And I'll tell you this.
He wasn't very good.
He was very good.
If Sperano had a quarterback, I don't know. But that's another story. But with Hafley, I think he is what they should have went after, that style anyway. Because they didn't want Flores because he was hard on people, and he was more. It wasn't just being hard on people; he was kind of a jerk. Whatever. Okay, it's fine. But then they went with McDaniel, who was a pushover. Hafley's middle, where he's I could put his arm on a player who screwed up, telling him, "Hey, this isn't acceptable. This isn't the end of the world for you either. We can't allow it." And then, but not saying almost ridiculing the kid like he doesn't deserve to live, kind of thing, So there's a balance there, and it feels seems like they might got the right balance of what they've been looking for between the discipline, but also the human side, So
well, Hafley, he's a football coach who doesn't know how to be a head coach yet. He's learning on the job. And it's a good thing that they're not going to be very good, so he can learn on the job.
Like I always said,
hopefully by the time they get,
McDaniel was I was going to say that McDaniel, his biggest problem for me was I would have been okay with him in 2019. I would have been okay with him in 2026. Yeah. He came in at he was the wrong coach at the wrong time. That's what he was. He would have been the right coach at either one of those times, developing a team and building something, not trying to win something.
Right.
Because he did not know how to be a head coach. Jeff Hafley has way more coaching experience than this guy. because he's been a head coach, whether it's at Boston College or he's called a defense. Like that's something that's a foundation that allows a guy to get an opportunity to be a head coach.
Right. And I think so far I like what I see. And it's not just what he says. It's the fact that he's not even setting expectations for this year. He's not even saying like, oh, we're playing for a Super Bowl. He's being very realistic. And what he keeps going back to is we're going to see what we have. We're going to see what we have. And almost like every conversation when it talks about the team, we're just looking for guys that want to be here. We're looking for guys who want to be here. We want to build this thing right. And it's never about like, oh, we want to win this. We want to win playoff games. It's when they talk about long-term, it's like we want a competitor who wins playoff games and this and that. But he's not talking – whenever they talk about this year, he keeps mentioning we want to build this out right. We want to find our guys and find guys that want to be here. And it's – so hopefully long-term that continues to be the right person for the job. And it would be nice and refreshing to have a guy that – we hired as the right guy.
Yeah. So, guys, this is going to be episode 1 of this season that we're going to have our goal is going to be consistently week by week having shows. Well, just Bret says he's more available. We'll be here as much as we want. So, not will just be me and Greg, and Bret will sneak in. Nothing will change. We're going to have a lot of fun on FTSN. Next game is the next Saturday against the Giants, where Jackson Dart got tattooed. We'll see what we get to see there next week. But we get to see Harbaugh next week. That'll be exciting. We can talk about that. But no, we have a lot of stuff going on in FTSN. Before we head out, Bret, Greg, any final words?
Let's just have fun this year, see how things go.
Oh my God, it could be better.
Let's have fun and let's watch the players and let's see who grows.
Exactly. So guys, don't forget to like and subscribe, and always fins up.
Fins up.